She was part of the political process.
But despite being involved in various community activities, her main love was always music.
She was always in demand as an entertainer.
People must forget that. She was the one producing the concerts in those days.
People would come and they would play and sing, or they would recite poetry or whatever, and she always used her own.
She wrote on every minutiae of things in the Cayman Islands.
That she wrote topical songs. If there's any special functions in the town hall, she would write a song about that.
A dedicated Christian, Leila was a member of the Presbyterian Church her whole life.
She was also the choir leader in the Presbyterian Church, or the Elms Memorial Church as you know it now, and was very involved in the life of the church.
She was an organist, Sunday school teacher.
I remember Leila singing in the choir. When she wasn't pounding on the organ, she was up there singing.
Really, her whole life was around church.
She never missed church. Always dressed up with her jewelry and her lipstick, and always beautiful. She had beautiful curly hair.
Time went on, and Leila got older. During this late period in her life, she would find love again.
When Samuel Shire, a Canadian who also had lost his dear partner and was lonely as she, met her, it seemed as if it was ordained so, and they were married.
That's how he used to laugh.
Carried a cane, a black cane, bushy mustache.
You remember it was just after the war of all those calamities, so she was able to sit quietly in the library here.
I came as a visitor.
And that's how he met her. I guess he spent a lot of time visiting with her.
And he hooked it up with Aunt Leila, boy.
Loving to bloom.
Her dear husband claimed that she made life sweet, musical, peaceful and happy by her companionship and devotion.
He certainly did really well for grandmother. She dearly loved him. They seemed to have had a fantastic marriage.
Oh yeah, they had a good life together. And they loved each other.
And of course, when she married Mr. Shire, he took her on trips, took her up to Canada.
I travelled a lot, and she always wanted to come back to Cayman.
Then, tragedy would strike again. Mr. Shire would die while going for his evening swim.
His last words to me, "I am going for a swim in Coral Bay. I'll be back soon, dear." He was brought back at 9:30 in his coffin, and all my soul was torn within me, gone without a goodbye in the best of health. But though from out the bourne of time and space the floods may bear me far, I hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar.
Now widowed twice and in the twilight of her life, Leila moved to her son Benny's house on the ocean on North Church Street.
I remember when we were school children and went to always past the house every day. A lot of times she was playing a guitar, or she was tuning up and composing, looking out over the water.
In 1968, Leila's health began to decline rapidly.
As the days went by, she got weaker. She didn't write too much after that.
Leila's footsteps are growing feeble, once so fearless and bold. As she feels the shadow of the evening of her life lengthening, she wonders, has the world been any sweeter for anyone through her life?
I guess they didn't realize she was so low in health at the time. And I was just holding her hand, and she started to breathe real deeply, and I thought, oh, something is happening to her. I said, she's dead. She's dead, Robert.
I heard the voice of Jesus say, why wait for weary years? Come now to me, my child, and I will always calm your fears. I came to Jesus in my glad and happy, glorious youth. I found in him a lasting joy, a well of life and truth.
Leela died on September 26, 1968. Throughout the course of her life, she wrote hundreds of songs, many of which are still sung by Caymanians today.
Miss Leela was really a child of God and who loved the things of God and who was interested in her community and all the things that really matter in life.
She was a gentle old soul.
That smile, I always remember her smile.
I don't think I ever saw her that she didn't smile and have something nice to say.
She was just a lovely, lovely person.
She was the first inspiration for learning and for truth. She's one of the greatest Caymanian women.
I would say she was one of the most genuinely pure Christian ladies. That was really a genius, and probably one of the most humble people I've ever known.
Our hero, our phenomenal woman.
Leela's contribution to our society was far-reaching and was primarily channeled through her music. Music was her life, and it was through music that she imparted herself and shared the beauty of Cayman to the world. In 2016, Leela's granddaughter Lisa arranged for a symphony orchestra to perform and record Leela's classic song, Beloved Isle Cayman. What you are hearing now is that recording. This symphonic recording is a fitting achievement for Cayman's most famous song by our most famous musician, Leela MacTaggart Ross Shire.
Boating, fishing, and water sports in the Cayman Islands are great, but keep a cool head. Here are 7 tips for fun and safe sea outings. Number 1. Use a checklist to plan your outing. Check the weather forecast, make a float plan, and share it with someone who is remaining on land, stating where you're going, with whom, and when you're expected to return. Visit your nearest marine supply store to get your safety gear. This includes signaling mirrors, whistles, and a flare kit. It's also very important to have onboard flotation devices and life vests for each person. There are different types of vests. Some are for water sport activities such as snorkeling, and others are for going on offshore boating or on fishing trips. Number 2. These items can be lifesavers in case of an accident or bad weather. Number 3. Use a motor kill switch, especially if you're boating alone. In case of a leak or breakdown, always stay with the boat until help arrives. If you capsize, an emergency beacon or locator device can send a distress signal to inform the authorities of your location. Larger flares will indicate distress to a boat, airplane, or search and rescue officials. Number 4. In addition to sunscreen, food, and beverages, it would be smart to have a cell phone. Make sure your marine radio works. Cayman boaters use Channel 16 to communicate. Number 5. Also, don't forget your anchor and sufficient rope. Number 6. Boat operators should be familiar with the local waters and reefs, as well as the capabilities and functions of the vessels they are using. Always obey the rules of the sea and the marine environment, and have courtesy for others.